everybody, I'm Tori Williams, and today we're going to be doing the Mobius strip activity. So the materials you'll need to be able to complete this activity are a pair of scissors, some tape, it doesn't matter, scotch tape, anything will work, colored pencils, and of course the activity sheet. So over on this side, you will see these two dotted lines. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to follow this and cut out each one. So when you follow the first one, you'll end up with this, and you'll follow the second set of dotted lines, and you should end up with two strips of paper. So what we're going to do with these strips of paper, the first one we're going to take A and B, and we're going to loop C and D around, and we are going to take a piece of tape and make a paper loop. So you should have something that looks like this. And for the second strip of paper, we're going to make our own Mobius strip. So to do this, you're going to take A and B and C and D, and instead of doing the loop like we did just a minute ago, you're going to take C and D and you're going to twist it. And you should have something that looks like this. So we're going to take another piece of tape and we're going to take these two ends together. And you now have your own Mobius strip. It should look something like this. So, the next thing we're going to do is the experiment part. And the first thing to think about when doing activity 1 is, what do you think is going to happen if you draw a line around this loop? So, just brainstorm for a minute and think about what you think would happen. And then we're going to take a pencil and we're going to draw a line around the loop. But the trick of this is we're not going to be picking up our pencil. So just start on the inside and you'll have to move your little circle as you go so that you can draw this line without picking up the pencil. So then you should have something that looks like this. And we're going to set it to the side. And now we're going to think about the same thing. What if we draw a line on the Mobius strip? Is it going to be the same as the loop, or is it going to be different? So to figure that out, we're going to take our pencil again and we're going to do the same exact thing. So I'm going to start on the inside again, and again you're going to try not to pick your pencil up. And you do the same thing. Just draw your line and you move the paper as you go. When you get to the tape, it's kind of hard, but just be sure you just keep making your line. Okay, so this we see is a little different. This has a line on both sides. So how did that happen? Well, this happened because Mobius strips only have one side, and that's because you twisted it, and the paper loop has two sides because it wasn't twisted. It was just wrapped around. So that's the difference between those two. The second question that we're going to talk about is, where did you end up in each case? And that's what we just talked about. The Mobius strip actually has a line on both, what looks like both sides, but that's because the Mobius strip only has one side. And all portions were covered on it, whereas the loop, only partial part of it was covered because it does have two sides. So, for activity 2, which is on the back page, we're going to think about what happens if we cut along the paper loop. What happens if we cut along this line that we just drew? So to be able to do this, you're going to take your loop and your scissors, and you're just going to cut straight down the middle. And what we see is that when you cut straight down the middle of the paper loop, we now end up with two smaller loops. So what if you do the same with the Mobius strip? Will the same thing happen, or will something different happen? So to do this, you're just going to cut a little slit in the Mobius strip, and then you're going to cut along the middle of it. And again, you're going to have to turn it in order to cut it, but then you should have something that resembles this. So we notice that the Mobius strip is just one big loop, whereas the paper loop ended up two small loops. So do you think that this long loop that was the Mobius strip is still a Mobius strip, or is it now just a paper loop? So in order to figure that out, we're going to draw a line down the middle of what was our Mobius strip. And to do this, I'm going to use a colored pencil so I can see the new line. And I'm using pink, but you can use whatever color you want. And you're again going to do the same thing without picking up your pencil. So again, you'll need to move this as you go. It's kind of hard to see because it is so long now. Okay, so what we see is that the pink color is only on one side now. So this makes it just a long twisted loop now. What was our Mobius strip is now just a loop, just because we cut it earlier. So what do you think is going to happen if you cut around the middle of the new twisted loop? So to do that, we're going to do the same thing as earlier. I need to add another small piece of tape. But to figure this out, we're going to do the same thing. You're just going to take this loop, cut a little slit in it, and now follow the slit all the way around. And you'll need to move this long loop around as you cut. But you're going to cut all the way around until you end up back where you started. Oops. And now we have this, which is just a loop with two small loops. So, is this what you figured it would look like after you cut it several times? So now it just splits into two strips. So, do you think the new pieces are Mobius strips? Do you think what we have just created is a Mobius strip? So think about that for a minute, and then you're going to draw a new line along the middle of the new loops without picking up your pencil. And this is where I'm going to use a different color. And for this one, I'm going to use green, but you can use whichever color you want or have. And you just start wherever and you start drawing your line. It's a little more difficult now because there are so many loops and curves. So it may be a little harder. But just follow it all the way around, and then we'll see if it is a Mobius strip still or if it has become, okay. So now we see that the green is only on one side, so it's kind of hard to see because the green is kind of light. But we now see that the green is on one side. So what we learned earlier when the pink was on one side is that it's just a loop. It's no longer a Mobius strip. So although these are twisted together and it looks like it could be a Mobius strip from what it looks like at the beginning, it's now just two loops. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed it and learned lots about Mobius strips and loops and the difference between the two. And until next time.